While you're watching 60 Minutes, chances are children all over the country are glued to different screens playing video games.
Oh boy, here we go again. Okay, so my girlfriend sent me a link to this video. Well, it's actually a couple videos, but you're only going to see it as one video here because I'm going to pick through a few bits of it and give my thoughts on it a little bit. Now, if you happen to see the last video I did when Australian media took a shot at Fortnite in particular, then you can probably guess how this video is going to go. And I know why my girlfriend sent it to me, because she knew that it'd piss me off and she knew that I'd make a video on it. Because I absolutely cannot stand this bullshit. You're going to have to forgive me for the background footage, it's a bit of ESO, but that's what I've been jamming lately, so that's what I chucked in for the background footage. It is what it is, and you shouldn't be seeing too much of it anyway. Only when I'm giving my responses to what I see in the video. But other than that, let's move on.
At least it keeps them quiet.
Okay, alright, we're going to immediately stop it there. There's the big eerie photo in the background. Photoshopped too fucking crazy to make it look dramatic, and like it has way more evil intent than what it actually does. And it's not even a good Photoshop either, it's really bad. You can see like the seams and everything.
Right? And there's one game that's currently all the rage, especially with boys. It's called Fortnite, and it has 125 million players around the world hooked. And therein lies the problem.
Big surprise on what game it'd be. Right, now I've watched these clips a couple times, and there's one thing I'm going to point out here, because if I don't point it out here, then I'm not going to remember it later on in the video. And they show multiple games in this because it's not an attack on one particular game, it's an attack on gamers in general. But the one game that they name drop is Fortnite, and they say that it has 125 million players. Now, why would they do that? The simple reason is because it draws your attention. You could be living under a rock and you'd know what Fortnite was regardless. Now, I'm not trying to defend Fortnite in any way, shape or form, because I don't like the game that much myself. I just simply cannot stand this bullshit that they spew out.
It and games like it are so good, there's such a sensory smorgasbord of action and colour, our children are becoming addicted. They're playing for days on end to the exclusion of everything else, even school.
Okay, so they're playing to the exclusion of everything else, including school, and on days on end.
It's late on a Tuesday night, but it could be any night of the week. Long after everyone else is asleep, 14-year-old Logan is awake and will be for hours yet, fighting for supremacy in the online battlegrounds of Fortnite.
Rightio, so we had ARC sounds on the way in, we then had the Fortnite ad song, or theme song if you will, playing over Fortnite. So which is it? Are we playing now? Are we playing ARC or are we playing Fortnite here? I want to point out that's not at all what gameplay is like.
Well, I guess what I'm asking is, do you really think you have control over these games and how much you play?
Wait a fucking minute. Why am I looking at him playing Fortnite? But in the background, there is clearly a griffin from ARC being flown.
These games and how much you play?
And I ought to fucking know, because I've got at least 4K hours on that fucking game. I know a griffin when I hear one, and that's exactly what it is. That's a bit weird, but okay.
I do have control. I just choose to stay on it this long.
I do have control, I just choose to stay on it this long. Of course he's going to. How many kids off the top of your head do you know that are going to willingly get off a game if they don't believe they have to? You're not going to leave fun to find fun. It's kind of like the old saying, don't leave fish to find fish.
Logan's desperate mum, Britta Hodge, believes her son is a video game addict, for which he wears a terrible cost.
Just as a thing now, I can hear a fucking Giga in the background. Here we go, this ought to be good.
Drawn, angry, depressed, anxious, completely different. I keep on saying to him, I miss my boy. I miss the boy that I used to have.
Okay, now I don't want to turn this into a personal attack or anything like that, but I can already start to see the problem here.
Gaming addiction is real and is so widespread. 3 months ago, the World Health Organization declared it a disease.
Yes, because we live in a time where gaming is considered a disease, but wanting to hack off your own body parts and attach new ones, or identifying as a fucking lamppost, is considered normal. But you know, fuck that, so let's move on.
Logan is considered more susceptible than many. He first turned to this parallel universe to cope with the breakdown of his parents' marriage. And as someone who suffers severe anxiety, he finds it a safer, more soothing place.
Do you just love the way they make everything so much more glorified than what it actually is? The way they make it sound is like this kid never touched a game in his life before. And then as soon as he started having a bit of a rough patch, he's thought, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to binge the fuck out of gaming. I'm guessing he totally never ever played a game before, right, too? That's what we're expected to believe?
The obvious solution, banning video games, is not as easy as it sounds, according to Britta and her new partner, Les.
Yes, it is that fucking simple.
What happens if you say no, you can't do this? It's not as simple as taking the cord away and going, oh well, bad luck, you haven't got the internet, because the repercussions from that.
So let me get this straight, you let him get away with something that you would consider bad behaviour by rewarding it with allowing him to do the thing you consider bad behaviour?
Angry, aggressive. We've had to call the police before. I have been headbutted, I've had concussion. I've been bitten, black and blue, all up and down my arms. I can't hold him back now. He's my height, so I can't physically restrain him.
And nor should you need to, because it never should have gotten to that point anyway. And while yes, he may be acting out because of the games, I can assure you one thing is it's not the games that made him that way. He either had that inside of him to begin with, or he didn't. I'm sorry, but I don't believe in that bullshit. You either have it in you or you don't. It would have come out later on. Maybe not towards you, but it may be towards someone else in their life, but it will eventually come out. A video game does not make you just go out and do that. You either have those bad intentions in you from the beginning or not at all.
But his fixation is so complete, Logan has refused to go to school for the last 2 years.
You're already dressed. Good boy.
While his 2 younger brothers are up and ready each morning, Logan stays locked inside his room, often ignoring all attempts at communication.
And the easiest way to fucking fix that is I'd just go straight in there, rip the fucking power cord out and say, well, stiff shit. You either sit here with nothing, or you go to school, come back, then you can play the game. You don't reward bad behaviour with bad behaviour.
I thought he was feeling sick because he was saying, Mum, I've got a headache, I feel sick, I want to vomit. He runs to the toilet. And I was thinking he had the flu, so then and 1 week would be off from school. And it was gradual, and then it just built up. Can't get him out of the house.
Come the fuck on. Come on. Who believes that shit? Was you never a kid once? Like seriously, I doubt there's a person watching this video that has never tried to pull a fucking sickie. Like if I tried that shit, I'd just get to stop being a dickhead and get up and go.
I'd like to see it, but I don't want him to come off it completely. I still don't mind him playing a game online.
See, so she is being reasonable. She doesn't want to cut him off completely. So it's not like she's fucking being a hard ass or anything like that. But she's just being too soft. You just need to straight up say, if you haven't done what you're supposed to, then you ain't fucking playing it. It's that simple. And the more he carried on, the less he'd be getting it.
We've heard about what happens when you try to go to school and you shove and push and so forth. But here, when you're told stop, what's your behaviour like?
I just don't get off sometimes. And just refuse to.
See, straight up, he knows. He doesn't have to move. Why should he? There's no repercussions for him not moving. He knows if there was a repercussion, he could just chuck a tantrum and he'd get it all right back. I'm starting to see a bit of a pattern here, I don't know about you.
Sam's bad behaviour has escalated. He's been suspended from school and has been caught stealing from his family to pay for gaming credits.
In the space of 6 or 8 weeks, I think he'd managed to clock up over $350.
$350? This kid stole from his parents. Wow. If I'd have done that, I reckon my mother would hit the fucking roof. But you know what? We didn't have that problem when I was growing up. We didn't have to have our parents worrying about us doing shit like that because we fucking knew better. It's a matter of respect, and that's something he clearly does not have.
So what sort of consequences did he suffer for stealing your card and spending that much money?
Well, it caused a lot of problems between Brendan and I because I kind of tried to protect him.
Big surprise here. I want to give this lady a bit of slack, if you will, because I know that she's been through a bit. And I don't want it to be a personal attack or come across as that way anyway. But come on, you still have to play the role of a parent. You're not their best friend. Stop protecting them when they've done something wrong. Stop telling them the world is all butterflies and rainbows and everything will be okay, because that's not the case. And that's not what life's about. When you fuck up, you have to face the music. It's simple as that.
Kind of because I knew that the console would have gone across the road and into the creek.
Thrown across the road into the creek, Jesus, I reckon my parents would have smashed it on the fucking ground in front of me. And just as a thing here, I'm getting vibes off the father that he's a bit more stern, and I feel like just with those vibes that I'm getting off of him and like what they've said with the whole protection thing, I feel like he goes to try to discipline the kid, whether it be by taking away the console or other means. And she does sort of the whole, no, don't worry about it, it's not that big of a deal, that sort of thing.
I don't want to be one of them kids that drop out and play your game and stuff like that.
Now, just from that little clip alone, I can tell it's pretty obvious the kid does need a little bit of help. What he probably doesn't need is it plastered all over media outlets. Whereas his parents just stepping in and saying, look, you're not going to like it, and you might hate us now, but eventually in the future you'll see that we did it for you. Just make the hard choice, take it off of him, simple as that, or limit him.
What do you need to get through those school gates?
I don't know. I've been trying to work that out for a while now. I can't really ever figure out why I can't go.
Because he doesn't have a I can't go problem, it's a I don't have to go because nobody's going to make me go.
I think for us the equivalent might be that if we're going into a room where there is something life-threatening, your heart might race, you might start hyperventilating, you'd get all this adrenaline telling you that there is something really scary out there and do not go there. These are the signals we'd get, you know, they're very biological. That's what he's getting just about attending school.
Yes, while that may be true, to an extent, let's not confuse not wanting to do something with not being able to do something. But is he really? But I just don't get those vibes, I really don't. I get the more of a I don't want to go than I can't go off of him. And considering he knows that there's no repercussions for it, then there'd be no harm in playing on it.
To exist in video games. And at this Sydney gaming parlour,
Here we go, now we're going to attack the older audience.
you can see how many are drawn to them. Those playing are plugged in and tuned out to everything and everyone else.
So how many hours are you playing these sorts of games on whatever device?
Probably around 6 hours a day.
6 hours a day?
Yeah.
6 hours a day? Oh no! Holy fuck, let's get an emergency crew down here, it's a crisis. 6 hours a fucking day, please. How many hours a day of your life do you spend working and doing other shit that you don't want to do? As long as you're getting what you need done in your life, then where's the fucking problem? And you could argue that they're not, but the fact is that these older kids are at a gaming parlour in Sydney and have no ties to the actual original topic of this video, or none that were mentioned throughout any of the videos anyways. But as I said, if they're getting what they need to be doing in their life done, then 6 hours, meh. Also, just as a future reference, if anyone that's watching this video is ever sitting in one of these places and one of these people walks up to you, tell them to fuck off. Or if you don't want to be so rude, tell them instinct said fuck off. Because that's exactly what I'd do. Don't give them ammo and feed their bullshit.
So Joe, how old were you when you started gaming?
About 3 years old.
You were about 3 years old?
Yes.
Yeah, I was about that age too, and you know what, it's one of the greatest things that's ever fucking happened for me. Because while I haven't found great success in the YouTubing world, it's taught me a shitload of stuff along the way, and one of the most important things that it has given me is confidence. And what do I mean by that? I mean the way that I speak on the mic now is so much different to the way it was before. I was very nervous before and told multiple times that I talked as though I was in a morgue or at a funeral, and if you want any proof of that, here's an old clip of what I used to sound like. Lately, I've had a fair bit of stuff going on. I've changed around my game setup, got a few new bits of equipment. Now, I'm sorry for the nightmares that you're probably going to have after hearing that, but I had to do it to prove a point, and I owe that all to getting into gaming, I guess you could say, because if I'd have never got into gaming, I never would have got into YouTubing. Therefore, I would have never developed my mic skills or many other things that I use to this day. Continuing.
And that occurs from the time the child is almost born. It's already getting rid of brain cells that are not being used. And what worries me most is that if so much time is devoted to just entertainment, under the auspices, the control of game designers, over a long period of time, what are we really losing? And those brain cells can't be gotten back in later life.
Okay, so we've got Betty White telling us about brain cells now, and the fact that games supposedly kill your brain cells. But my question is, if they're really that bad, then why are they introducing them to like nursing homes and stuff like that to keep the brain active? Because didn't they not long ago find out that that was actually a good thing? And anyway, they want to talk about brain cells lost. Jesus fucking Christ, every time I turn on a media source these days, the only thing that happens is me lose brain cells. Because people don't want to take responsibility for something, so we need to make a disease for it. Or we see a problem, and instead of taking away what is the actual problem, which is people usually, we then start to blame it on things like inanimate objects and try to pretend that they're some big horrifying thing by themselves. They're not. They never will be. People need to realise the objects themselves are not the problem. People are the problem, and they always will be. And the quicker we realise that, the quicker we can work to keep people like that away from them and not have things like that so readily available to them.
Back in his den, it's no surprise really, but killing off brain cells is not something that scares Logan.
To be honest, I don't fucking blame him. After having her sitting there interviewing me for a little bit, I'd be trying to kill as many brain cells as possible too. Although I'm sure if he spends another 30 minutes with her, she'll probably speed that process up.
Not really, I'm not really worried at all. Because I don't really see that there's a problem with it. Like, sure, there's mean that I spend all my time and don't go to school and that could get my parents in trouble. But it doesn't really, it doesn't really make me be like, oh, I should stop, you know?
You want to know why it doesn't make him want to stop? Because the repercussions that are going to happen are not going to be to him, they will be to his parents. However, if there was something severe that was actually going to happen and someone was going to reinforce it, so not his parents, for instance, because we know that they're going to fold like a piece of wet cardboard, if there was some authority there that was not going to budge, a rock, if you will, then I feel like his outlook on it would be a hell of a lot different to what it is now.
Very hard to ask a young child in their primary school years to be the police, to be the monitor of their own fun. And in the home environment, if there are guidelines, if there are rules, but there are no real-life consequences, the child works out very quickly what they can get away with.
See, Betty White's onto something here. Kids are going to be kids. That's just how it is. If you're having fun, the last thing you want to do is stop having the fun if you don't believe you have to or it's not causing any harm. Which, in this case, by the looks of it, it is. They believe that they're not causing any harm, but they obviously are. Whereas when you grow up a bit and start to become an adult, you start to get decision-making skills that say, no, I've enjoyed myself a little bit, but it's time to stop now. A kid doesn't have those skills yet. One of those things you learn as you grow up. That authority figure or police, if you will, of their fun is supposed to be their parents. You receive payments for being the caretaker of this child. You brought this child into the world knowing full well that you're supposed to look after them, so you wouldn't let them become a danger to themselves. But in my opinion, the kid should never be allowed to get to this point. And as far as media outlets go, they need to stop generalising and attacking groups, especially gamers, because they go out and they find the worst possible cases they can to make it all that more, dramatic. And then they put out there all these sums, and just a heap of shit to fearmonger because it's an easy target audience. And you want to know something? At the end of the day, they don't give a shit. They could not care less whether these people actually got the help that they needed. It's all about their ratings and it's all about their views. And how shit like that's allowed to go on is beyond me. But I don't know, dudes. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. Hit me up on social medias, they'll be all linked in the description. There'll also be a Discord there which has a tab inside that you can share your content if you happen to be a creator as well. And until the next video, guys, I shall see you later.